mother's unwavering dedication to her chronically ill daughter, a symbol of hope and selflessness, came crashing down one fateful day. On June 14, 2015, tragedy struck the Blanchard family as Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard met a tragic end within the confines of her own home. Her 19-year-old daughter, Gypsy Rose, who had been grappling with numerous debilitating illnesses, suddenly disappeared. Initially, the authorities suspected a kidnapping, fearing for Gypsy's life, as she relied heavily on a regimen of medications and daily therapies to manage her serious health condition. The Blanchard family's relatives shared deep concerns that Gypsy's life hung in the balance without her essential medication. To everyone's astonishment, just one day later, Gypsy was located. However, the shocking revelation that followed shattered the illusion of a devoted mother's love and selflessness that had once defined their lives. Instead of the wheelchair-bound, frail figure everyone was accustomed to, the police found a vibrant, healthy young woman who could walk unaided and was devoid of any need for medication. Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard, a Louisiana native, initially worked as a nurse's aide before embracing motherhood. At the age of 24, Dee Dee tied the knot with Rod Blanchard, who was only 17 at the time. In a documentary, Rod reminisced about his wife's involvement in credit card fraud during this period. In 1991, the couple welcomed their daughter, Gypsy Rose, whose name was translated as Gypsy Rose. During those early days, Gypsy Rose was, in her father's words, perfectly healthy, which brought reassurance to Rod despite his young age. Nevertheless, marital life wasn't a path Rod was prepared for, and soon after Gypsy Rose's birth, the couple went their separate ways. Around 3 months after Gypsy Rose's birth, Dee Dee began expressing concerns to her ex-husband, asserting that their young daughter was suffering from sleep apnea. Despite medical examinations finding no evidence of this condition, Dee Dee persisted in claiming that Rose experienced respiratory issues and was afflicted by an unspecified chromosomal disorder. When Gypsy Rose reached the age of about 8, she had a fall from her grandfather's motorcycle. Urgently, Dee Dee rushed her to the hospital, where medical professionals diagnosed her with a minor abrasion on her knee. Dee Dee, however, remained unconvinced. In her perspective, the fall had caused more severe injuries than a simple scrape, and Gypsy Rose would require multiple surgeries until medical experts could ascertain the true nature of her leg condition. Gypsy Rose was consigned to a wheelchair to prevent any further strain on her knee. Dee Dee took a significant step when her parents started questioning whether Gypsy Rose's health issues were genuine. She decided to leave her parents' home and sought medical attention for her daughter at a hospital in New Orleans. Dee Dee asserted that, aside from the previously mentioned chromosomal disease and muscular dystrophy, Gypsy Rose was grappling with hearing and vision impairments, along with seizures. Despite medical examinations yielding no concrete evidence of any underlying medical condition, doctors acquiesced to Dee Dee's requests and prescribed anticonvulsant medication and pain relievers for Gypsy. In an interview, Gypsy's father, Rod, expressed his admiration for Dee Dee's dedication. He said, "I told Dee Dee she was the best mom. I can't do what you do. You have a sick child and you're constantly taking care of her 24/7. I'm always praising her." Dee Dee had alleged that Rod was neglecting child support and failing to establish a relationship with Gypsy, but this narrative was far from the truth. In reality, Dee Dee was receiving a monthly support check of $1,200 from Rod. Rod and his new wife, Christy, did visit Gypsy, although their interactions were never one-on-one, as Dee Dee insisted that Gypsy might require immediate medical attention at any given moment. Beyond Rod's financial support, Dee Dee and Gypsy were recipients of donations and disability payments. Their life took a dramatic turn when they found themselves homeless in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Thankfully, Habitat for Humanity in Springfield provided them with a new home. Numerous foundations also encouraged Dee Dee and Gypsy to travel the country, allowing them to partake in experiences such as trips to Disney World, attendance at baseball games, and participation in charity events. In a touching moment, Dee Dee once addressed Gypsy on stage during a Relay for Life event dedicated to raising funds for the American Cancer Society, saying, "You are the reason I was born, to be your mom." As Gypsy grew older, the natural course of adolescence led her to seek independence and distance herself from her mother. She started to move about the house at night, defying Dee Dee's insistence that she could only move with the aid of a wheelchair. In secret, Gypsy ventured onto the internet, even creating a Facebook account under the alias Emma Rose to connect with someone on social media. In the year 2010, Gypsy reached the age of 19, though Dee Dee persistently informed everyone that she was merely 14. By this time, Gypsy had already realized she wasn't afflicted by any illnesses and was clandestinely plotting her escape from her mother's grasp. One fateful night, she mustered the courage to venture to the neighbor's home on her own, desperately pleading to be taken to the police or hospital. Dee Dee, however, managed to convince the concerned neighbors that Gypsy's behavior was a result of potent medications, leading her to hallucinate. She spun a convincing tale, sometimes alleging that her daughter was mentally challenged or attributing Gypsy's perceptions to the medication's side effects. Her storytelling prowess was so convincing that people readily accepted her narrative. In 2011, Gypsy attempted to flee to a man she had met through social media. Upon discovering Gypsy's intentions, Dee Dee swiftly shut down her daughter's access to the internet. She issued chilling threats, warning Gypsy that she would destroy her computer and keep her confined to the house. By 2014, Gypsy, now 23 years old, though Dee Dee continued to claim she was 19, encountered a 23-year-old man named Nick Godejohn from Wisconsin. Despite Godejohn's previous criminal record for indecent exposure, Gypsy remained resolute in her belief that he could help her break free from her mother's control. According to former FBI agent Brad Garrett, Nick was at the 15 to 16-year-old developmental age level and really didn't have a normal history of social interaction. Gypsy made an attempt to introduce Nick to her mother, but Dee Dee reacted negatively to their meeting, reinforcing her threats to keep Gypsy confined within the house. Gypsy confided in Nick about her desire to escape from her mother, emphasizing, "I didn't hate her. I just wanted to get away from her," as she later revealed during an interview on the Dr. Phil show. A few months after their initial meeting, Nick Godejohn paid a visit to Gypsy Rose. Unfortunately, Dee Dee was also present during this visit. It was during this time that they initiated their plan to carry out Dee Dee's murder. Following the discovery of Dee Dee Blanchard's lifeless body and the revelation of Gypsy Rose's true story to the public, Gypsy garnered an outpouring of support and sympathy from a wide circle of friends and sympathizers. Many who had initially mourned Dee Dee's death were now outraged by the years of abuse her daughter had endured. Numerous psychiatrists speculated that Dee Dee might have suffered from Munchausen's syndrome, a disorder where individuals feign illness or intentionally induce symptoms to undergo medical procedures, treatment, hospitalization, or surgery. The underlying causes of this syndrome remain poorly understood. Shortly after the murder, Gypsy Rose voluntarily confessed to the police that she had enlisted Nick Godejohn to carry out the killing of her mother. Following the shocking incident, a post was published on the Blanchard family's shared Facebook account that sent shockwaves through their followers and the community. Gypsy and Nick embarked on a journey to Wisconsin in an attempt to leave their troubled past behind. However, their plans were soon thwarted when the police managed to trace the IP address of the incriminating Facebook post back to Nick's computer. In the initial footage of Gypsy's police interview, she put on a facade of shock and despair regarding her mother's untimely demise. "I don't know what happened to my mom," she told the skeptical police officer, who harbored doubts about her innocence. Gypsy continued to protest her innocence, saying, "Why don't you just tell me?" "No, sir, I didn't do anything." In a phone conversation with her father, Gypsy clung to her assertion of innocence, fervently maintaining that she had played no role in the events that had transpired. "I still couldn't believe she could walk when I saw Gypsy on the news," her father reflected after witnessing footage of his daughter entering the courtroom. He added, "I felt so foolish. If she could walk, what else had we been deceived about?" Upon conducting searches at Dee Dee Blanchard's residence, investigators uncovered an extensive collection of approximately 100 CDs filled with documents, photographs, and digital records. Moreover, a linen closet contained a trove of prescriptions, some of which were obtained unlawfully. Over the course of her life, Gypsy had been under the care of more than 100 different physicians. She explained to ABC News, "Mom was very pleasant and highly persuasive. The doctors placed their trust in her." Dee Dee attributed the absence of Gypsy's medical records to their supposed destruction during Hurricane Katrina. Furthermore, she went to great lengths, even obtaining a counterfeit birth certificate for Gypsy Rose, altering her age. When a doctor in Missouri uncovered this deception, Dee Dee promptly relocated Gypsy to a hospital located 3 hours away from the previous one. Despite the multitude of potent medications and serious medical interventions, Gypsy managed to maintain her overall health. She candidly admitted to ABC News in 2018, "There were certain illnesses that I knew I didn't have. I knew I could eat, and I knew I could walk, but I believed my mother when she told me I had leukemia. I trusted her and I thought she knew better," concluding, "My only issue is my deteriorating eyesight." One of the neurologists, Dr. Bernardo Flasterstein, who had been consulted by Dee Dee regarding her daughter's supposed seizures, became increasingly suspicious of the mother's behavior. He noted that Dee Dee appeared discontent when he informed her that her daughter was, in fact, in good health. At the medical center, Blanchard caused quite a commotion, recalled Dr. Flasterstein. He recounted how Dee Dee berated the nursing staff, insisting that he didn't know what he was talking about and that she had no intention of returning for further appointments. In his medical record, Dr. Flasterstein even made a note suggesting that there is a strong possibility that the mother has Munchausen syndrome. In February 2019, Nick Godejohn received a life sentence for first-degree murder, despite Gypsy serving as the primary witness for the defense and taking responsibility for planning Dee Dee's death. Godejohn explained his actions, saying, "The reason I did it was because I loved Gypsy so much and sympathized with her situation." Gypsy, on the other hand, received a 10-year prison sentence with the possibility of parole in 2024 when she reaches the age of 32. Remarkably, she does not perceive life in prison as significantly different from her life at home with her mother. In some respects, it may seem like nothing has changed, but I feel much more liberated now, Gypsy expressed during an interview. "Back then, I couldn't walk. I couldn't eat. I had no friends. Surprisingly, I feel like I have more freedom in prison than I did living with my mom. It allows me to lead a life more akin to that of a typical woman." Within the documentary, an expert on Munchausen syndrome suggested that Gypsy might exhibit some degree of sociopathy, particularly highlighting her behavior following the murder. Gypsy responded to this observation by asserting, "I was raised to follow the patterns and behaviors my mother taught me, and they weren't healthy. She taught me to deceive, and I have no desire to continue down that path. My aspiration is to be an honest and good-hearted person." The Act, a TV series based on the life of Gypsy Rose starring Dee Dee Blanchard, was released in 2019.